I had been a ghost for 10 years. A streamer found my cherished photo and launched a searching for Ji Chuan campaign across the entire internet. When I saw him again, he was already about to get married. I wished I could just disappear, yet, after I truly disappeared, he lived out his life in solitude. In his final moments, he still held on to that half of the photo. The night I died, a sudden fire broke out at the psychiatric hospital. Due to the hospital's unique structure, many patients were unable to escape and perished in the fire. After my death, I lingered around the hospital. At first, there were still some companions keeping me company. But one by one, they all disappeared, leaving me alone here. I couldn't stray far from the hospital, so I passed my days sitting by the window. I watched the sunset countless times, far more than just 44 times. 10 years went by like this. The hospital gradually fell into ruin. The wild grass grew taller around it, and thorns clung to the crumbling walls. Wild roses bloomed across the ruins. The nearby residents all said the place was haunted by a female ghost who devoured people, warning children not to go near, saying that disobedient kids would be taken away by the ghost. What nonsense! I had never eaten anyone, nor would I ever harm a child. Then one day, a girl appeared, talking to herself with a phone in hand. "Hello everyone, I'm He Duo. This is the famous haunted Qingshan Psychiatric Hospital, abandoned for 10 years now. They say that a fire here killed 27 people back then. Rumor has it that the youngest victim was only 18. The director was even arrested afterward. Tonight, we'll find out if there really are ghosts here." I leaned over her shoulder, peeking at her phone. I figured it out. She was live streaming. Some of the locals did this for money too. She shivered slightly and went on, "Though it's been 10 years, you can still see how severe the fire was. The walls are all blackened and charred," she narrated as she wandered, eventually reaching my room. She scanned the darkened space, and her gaze landed on a corner of the wall. He Duo crouched down, pulling out a charred tin box from a crevice in the wall. I jumped up and down in frustration. "That's mine, don't touch it." But she couldn't hear me and even opened my box. My secret was exposed just like that. She was so evil. She took out the half-burnt photo and, holding it up to the camera, said, "Look, everyone. The girl in this picture is beautiful. She looks young. I wonder if she was an adult." I huffed. "Don't think I'll forgive you just because you called me beautiful. And I was an adult. I wasn't that young. I even had a boyfriend." Comments flashed across the screen. "She must be that 18-year-old patient who died, right? The resentment of underage spirits is strong. You shouldn't touch their belongings. Such a shame. She died so young." Apparently, the hospital was very strict back then. If not, so many patients wouldn't have died in the fire. Wait, it looks like there's someone else next to her in the photo. You can see a bit of a shoulder in black clothes. It looks like a guy. Could that be someone she loved? Can people with mental illnesses even love others? Being loved by a lunatic sounds awful. Seeing those comments, I felt a pang of sadness. I wasn't mentally ill. I just had autism. My dad had said that if I got better, I could date like everyone else. I was capable of love. I wasn't a lunatic. He Duo frowned at her phone and said, "If you can't talk like a decent person, then leave my stream," calling someone a lunatic, as if you're so normal. At that moment, He Duo didn't seem so bad. She flipped the photo over and noticed 2 words written on the back, Ji Chuan. Ji Chuan was my first love. I didn't want to go to school, so starting from my second year of high school, he became my tutor. That year, he was 19. My dad said he was outstanding. He had attended the same high school as me, was the top student in our city, and was now a top student at Peking University. He had skipped 3 grades and already earned a spot for a master's program while still in his 3rd year. "How about letting him be your tutor?" I didn't say anything. Whether I agreed or not, he was going to be my tutor anyway. Before Ji Chuan, my dad had hired many tutors for me, but during classes, I always got distracted, drawing or working on wood carvings, lost in my own world. In the end, all those tutors left on their own. When Ji Chuan first arrived, I ignored him too. I figured he would insult me behind my back as well, give me all sorts of nicknames. They all thought I was some idiot, someone who wouldn't speak up or complain, so they treated me like that. But Ji Chuan only kept talking endlessly about the lessons, regardless of whether I was listening or not. In fact, I mostly understood what he was saying. After class, he would take out a few worksheets. "These are aligned with today's lesson. If you have time, give them a try, and I'll go over them in tomorrow's class." I didn't do them because I wasn't interested. Instead, I scribbled all over his worksheets. He said, "This frog you drew is quite cute." That was obviously a tree frog. How could he call it a frog? So frustrating. Did I say something wrong? I ignored him. He lowered his gaze and started explaining the lesson. Ji Chuan's eyelashes were long, and when he blinked, they were like butterfly wings. He was always calm, as if it didn't matter whether I paid attention to him or not. Did you understand this problem? If not, you can tell me, and I'll explain it again. He tapped the desk with his fingertip. I didn't respond. Well, since you understood, let's move on to the next problem. Whenever I didn't understand, I'd glance at him, and he'd go over it again. I found it amusing, so I kept looking at him after each explanation. Even after he explained the same problem 5 times, Ji Chuan remained unruffled. So strange, didn't he ever get angry? A month later, I spoke to him for the first time. What does little monster mean? Why did my classmates call me a little monster? Ji Chuan paused, then asked, "Who said that?" I didn't tell him. He asked again, "Did someone call you that?" I nodded, then he drew me a picture. He asked, "What's this?" "A snake that ate an elephant." Ji Chuan smiled faintly and said, "But many people think it's a hat." How silly, he said. People often reject things that are different from themselves. They think you're different, so they're prejudiced. But prejudice is the real little monster, not you. But I am different from normal people. You're just unique. People are all different from one another, and that's not a bad thing. No one had ever told me anything like this before. He asked, "Do you want to hear the story behind this drawing?" I nodded. "Finish this worksheet, and I'll tell you." Fine. Ji Chuan brought me a book. I felt that, like the little prince in the story, I was special. Ji Chuan was even more special. The little prince lived on a planet where he could see the sunset 44 times in a single day. Ji Chuan, I want to see the sunset 44 times a day too. If you get into Peking University, I'll take you to see it. I hesitated. I didn't like school or the people outside, but if Ji Chuan was there, maybe the outside world wasn't so bad after all. After the college entrance exams, Ji Chuan took me to Peking University. In the school auditorium, I watched the sunset 44 times. Ji Chuan had used code to create the program and used models to make the special effects. He said he wouldn't be teaching me anymore. Why? The college entrance exams are over. Ji Chuan, I like you. The exams were over, but my feelings for him were not. You're still young, you haven't seen the world outside yet. I understood. Like everyone else, Ji Chuan wouldn't like a little monster like me. Ji Chuan, I'm not stupid. If you don't like me, you can just say it directly, but don't deny my feelings. I rarely spoke this seriously. I just didn't like speaking out loud, but that didn't mean I had no thoughts of my own. Ji Chuan was stunned. I knew that many people liked Ji Chuan. I could recognize the way someone looks at a person they like, but Ji Chuan couldn't read the way I looked at him and denied my feelings. He didn't know that I'd only let him, and him alone, into my world. If he didn't want to come in, then fine. I didn't speak to Ji Chuan again. No matter what he said, I wouldn't listen. If I wanted to, I could block out all external sounds and live only in my own world. When I was younger, I couldn't understand what people were saying, nor could I come out of my world. I didn't understand why my mom would cry in front of me. After she passed away, I didn't feel anything in particular. Only after a long time of treatment did I learn how to step out of my world, even though I still didn't understand overly complex emotions most of the time. But I knew that tears meant sadness. My mom didn't really want to abandon me. After meeting Ji Chuan, I also understood what it meant to like someone. Liking someone means wanting to share your world with them, wanting to be together, and feeling happy even if you're doing nothing at all. When I told Ji Chuan about my strange thoughts, he would seriously consider them before responding, even though his answers weren't always what I wanted to hear. I liked Ji Chuan's responses. He never brushed me off. After rejecting me, Ji Chuan walked me to my door and asked, "Will you never talk to me again?" Since he didn't like me, why would he care about my thoughts? But I still nodded honestly. "Can't we still be friends? But I like you. If you don't like me, I'll be sad. If you like someone else and are with them, I'll be sad too. So, I can't be friends with you." He wasn't my friend, he was someone I liked. I would put Ji Chuan in a secret corner of my heart, making my feelings for him something I carried alone. If he ever wanted to come into my world again, I would invite him in, but Ji Chuan was silent. I didn't know what he was thinking. Just as I was about to leave, Ji Chuan grabbed my wrist. He said, "I don't want to make you sad." I started dating Ji Chuan. He was just the same as before, sending me messages every day, calling, telling me stories, taking me out. We rode the Ferris wheel together and watched dolphins. When I was scared, he held my hand. He took up more and more space in my heart. I wanted to be with Ji Chuan forever. I wanted to smell his fresh laundry scent, hug him, kiss him. I really liked Ji Chuan. But then my dad found out and forbade me from seeing him. My dad said he was poor and was only dating me to swindle my family's money. I didn't know how to explain, so I just kept repeating, no, 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 Ji Chuan wasn't like that, he loves me, and I love him too, my dad said. Do you even know what loving someone means? He's a normal person, how could he possibly love you? He thinks you're easy to deceive. I never should have hired him as your tutor. No. No. No, Ji Chuan didn't deceive me. I know what it means to love someone. You don't know anything. You're just being fooled. I know. I really do know. No one cared about my shouting. My dad locked me in my room, not allowing me to see Ji Chuan. On a rainy day, Ji Chuan stood outside the gate of our villa and refused to leave. I screamed loudly in my room, my throat hurt, but my dad still wouldn't let me out. Wait for Ji Chuan, just wait a little longer, give him some time, Ji Chuan will become amazing someday. He wasn't after my family's money, he really did love me. I returned to my own world, stopped talking to my dad, stopped eating, and only wanted to see Ji Chuan. My dad said, as long as you go through with the treatment and get better, I'll let you see him. To be together, not just to see him, I wanted to be with him. Fine, when you're better, I'll let you be together. I went to the psychiatric hospital, taking medicine every day. Most of the time, I could only look at the world outside through the window. I kept waiting until I became normal so that I could be with Ji Chuan. Even though I didn't know what it meant to be normal, I could finish all the college exam papers and get high scores, but they never asked me those questions, they only asked me hard ones. What do you think loving someone means? Can you understand the concept of love or marriage? I stayed silent. One day, a new patient arrived at the psychiatric hospital. The nurse said she had hidden her psychiatric history, then fell ill after marriage, and was sent here by her husband. The nurse said she was a danger to herself and others. Mental illness is hereditary, the nurse said. That man must regret ever loving her, let alone marrying her. I suddenly felt afraid. It turned out that just loving someone wasn't enough to be together. Even if you're together, you might regret it. Maybe they were right. Maybe I didn't understand anything. I had been dead for 10 years and still didn't understand. Why? Because I loved Ji Chuan. Did I have to be locked in a psychiatric hospital for treatment? Why did no one believe that I really did love Ji Chuan? Duo suddenly became very excited. She spoke into her phone. Why don't we start a campaign called Searching for Ji Chuan? Let's uncover the story behind this half photo. She put the photo back into the tin box and then, holding the box, left the psychiatric hospital. I was anxious, so I could only follow her. Give it back to me. That's my photo. But she couldn't hear me. Then, I walked out of the psychiatric hospital, following her all the way back to her house. I realized that it wasn't the hospital that trapped me but this photo. I could only move around near the photo. I watched helplessly as Duo posted my photo online, gathered news, contacted various people, and inquired about the Qingshan Psychiatric Hospital. The whole internet was now abuzz with the searching for Ji Chuan trend. I felt a bit afraid that Ji Chuan would find out that I was already dead. He would be so sad. If Ji Chuan were dead, I might never leave my own world again, but I couldn't stop Duo, because I was already dead. At that moment, Duo stumbled upon a piece of news. The article mentioned that Ji Chuan, a giant in the tech industry, would return to the country next week to attend an AI summit. Ji Chuan. She suddenly sat up from the bed, causing her face mask to fall off. Then she muttered to herself, no way, no way. I stared at the photo in the news, not daring to blink. It was Ji Chuan, a 30-year-old Ji Chuan, my first love, Ji Chuan. So, he had been living abroad all this time. Had he forgotten about me? Why hadn't he come to the psychiatric hospital to see me? Was it because I hadn't recovered? And why didn't the 30-year-old Ji Chuan smile anymore? Was he not happy? I really wanted to see him again. I glanced at Duo, then looked at her home. Forget it, I thought. It might be a bit difficult for her. 2 days later, someone left a message online saying they knew me. Duo was ecstatic when she saw it. She really was the type to overreact, unlike Ji Chuan, who never acted like that. Once she calmed down, I nervously watched the phone with her. The person in the photo was my high school classmate. She stopped coming to school much after junior year, and after that, no one heard from her. Her name was Jian Yu. She wasn't quite normal, but she wouldn't harm anyone either. She just never paid attention in class, always handed in blank tests, and seemed to ignore everything anyone said. She never interacted with anyone. Looking back now, I think she probably had autism. That's right, it was autism, not a mental illness. Aside from not studying, not talking, and not interacting with people, she was otherwise pretty normal. He Duo immediately reached out to this person. Do you know Ji Chuan? What was his relationship with Jianshiryu? I don't know him. Jianshiryu never interacted with anyone. But Ji Chuan does sound familiar. Let me think. I silently prayed that he wouldn't remember, but prayers don't work. I remember now. He was our senior in our third year, the top scorer in the city's college entrance exams that year. You can look him up in the news. You should be able to find his photo. After searching, He Duo muttered a curse. Damn. Isn't that Ji Chuan, one of today's internet giants? It can't be this much of a coincidence. Yeah, of course, it couldn't be. He Duo, please, don't ask Ji Chuan about the photo. On the day Ji Chuan returned to the country, He Duo managed to get in touch with her journalist friend, and they went together to wait for Ji Chuan. In the few days I'd spent with He Duo, I discovered something. The 6 degrees of separation one didn't apply to her. It seemed there wasn't anyone she didn't know. 2 degrees of separation were enough. I floated beside He Duo, extremely nervous. Even though I was afraid of Ji Chuan finding out that I was dead, I could finally sneak a glimpse of him, and then, as I wished, I saw the 30-year-old Ji Chuan. But he was accompanied by another woman, who was walking closely beside him, her arm entwined with his. I felt a pang of anger and sadness. I never had the chance to hold Ji Chuan's arm. Would Ji Chuan love her the same way he once loved me? Thinking about it made my heart feel as though it was slowly eroding, like acid rain eating away at it. But I also felt a little happy because Ji Chuan seemed to be doing well. He Duo rushed forward and held up the half photo, asking, Ji Chuan, do you recognize the person in this photo? Oh no, how could she be so reckless? Her question was abrupt and ill-timed, but Ji Chuan stopped. His gaze fell on the photo, then looked at He Duo with an icy stare. Not only was He Duo startled, I also took a step back in fear. Ji Chuan's gaze looked like he was ready to devour someone. I don't know her. My hopes, once held high, had fallen heavily to the ground. Ji Chuan said he didn't know me. He Duo, sitting in the car with the photo in hand, puzzled over it. Could I have really made a mistake? But Ji Chuan's reaction just now was strange. It didn't seem like he didn't know her. I couldn't understand. How could Ji Chuan have forgotten me? Was his love for me a lie? I hadn't even held it against him that he fell for someone else, but how could he just forget me? Now, even if he found out I was dead, he probably wouldn't be saddened. Suddenly, someone knocked on He Duo's car window. It was the girl who had been standing next to Ji Chuan earlier. She said, hello, my name is Lin Yuan. I'd like to buy that photo you're holding. Name your price. Sorry, it's not for sale at any price, but if you can tell me whether Ji Chuan knows the person in this photo, I might just give it to you directly. I can tell you this, the person in that photo almost ruined Ji Chuan. What? Having that photo isn't a good thing. Lin Yuan glanced at it. Everything related to that woman is a landmine for Ji Chuan. You'd best be careful. Is that so? He Duo handed the photo to Lin Yuan. I heard her mutter as she walked away. Things are about to get interesting. Whether it's a landmine or not, we'll only know once we step on it. I thought Lin Yuan would destroy the photo, but unexpectedly, she brought it to the hotel and gave it to Ji Chuan. Are you still not over her? Ji Chuan took the photo, didn't even look at it, and tossed it straight into the trash can. He said, I've long forgotten who she was. Heh. Lin Yuan's tone seemed a bit strange. I sat at Ji Chuan's feet, looking at the photo in the trash. I couldn't describe how painful it was. That was our only photo together. We'd taken it at the amusement park. With my camera, I still remember he had a pink cotton candy in his hand, and it was so sweet. He even said he would always love me. He changed his heart, but I didn't. When I got home that day, I had 2 copies of the photo developed. My dad tore one of them up. It was because of that photo that he found out about my relationship with Ji Chuan. I secretly brought the remaining one into the psychiatric hospital. During the fire, I hid the photo in a tin candy box, and behind some peeling wall paint, there was a hole where mice got in. I put the tin box in there, covered it with my body, and barely managed to save half the photo. After I became a ghost, I drew Ji Chuan's face in my mind every day. Even though the photo was destroyed, I never forgot what he looked like. Every word he ever said to me, I remember it all. All of it is etched in my mind. But Ji Chuan had forgotten. The cleaning lady at the hotel threw my photo into a larger trash bin. I had no choice but to follow her. Actually, I wanted to tell Ji Chuan. Over the past 10 years, I had come to understand many things. I had seen young boys and girls kissing in alleys, promising each other a lifetime of love, only for the boy to turn around and kiss someone else, making the same vows again. I had also witnessed couples on the verge of divorce, fighting over property and children, wishing each other dead, and I had seen couples who, despite not loving each other, still chose to be together after an arranged date, their eyes void of any love. I still couldn't define what love meant, but I knew that my affection surpassed that of most people. I didn't lie, nor did I change my heart. I had kept all my promises to him. Yet now, I couldn't comprehend Ji Chuan's affection anymore. Late at night, I leaned against the trash bin. Loving someone was indeed a complex matter. No wonder my dad thought I'd never understand it. Before dawn, I saw Ji Chuan running over in his pajamas. His eyes were red as he rummaged through the trash bin, finally retrieving my photo. After wiping it clean, he tucked it into his chest. Ji Chuan was sad. Why, hadn't he said he had forgotten? He took my photo back to his room, sat dejectedly on the edge of the bed, motionless. Loving someone shouldn't be something that brings sadness. I wanted to tell Ji Chuan, if he felt sad, then maybe he shouldn't love me. It was okay to forget me. I regretted leaving that photo behind. I didn't want to see Ji Chuan sad. He put the photo into his wallet, carrying it with him wherever he went. From then on, I could follow Ji Chuan every day. He never mentioned my name, nor did he try to find out what had happened to me. He remained completely unaware of my death. He and Lin Yuan attended a banquet together after the summit. Everyone praised them as a perfect match, asking when they planned to marry. Just the thought of Ji Chuan marrying someone else made me wish I could disappear. I wanted him to be happy, but I didn't want to see his happiness with my own eyes. Loving someone was selfish. It was possessive. I even thought, maybe I should let Ji Chuan know that I was dead. Then perhaps, he'd remember me and not marry Lin Yuan. I really was selfish. Ji Chuan bought the villa where I had once lived. The agent told him, "This is a haunted house. It's already had 2 previous owners. The last owner went bankrupt, and the one before that committed suicide here. As for the first people who lived here, I heard their child died tragically at just 18. The owner was so devastated that they moved abroad. Perhaps you might want to reconsider." Hearing this, I shuddered, but Ji Chuan was busy texting and didn't even hear the agent's words. Contract. After reading it, Ji Chuan swiftly signed his name. Although Ji Chuan's handwriting was beautiful, his fingers long and slender, they were anything but nimble. When he carved, I had to guide his hand, and whenever I spoke to him, he barely paid attention. His ears would turn cherry red, making me lose focus. Too, I never had the chance to pick those cherries. I lost them forever. Late at night, Ji Chuan sat in the room where we once had lessons, the lights turned off. I looked around and realized all my things were gone, replaced by unfamiliar furniture. He lit a cigarette and quietly stared out the window. What was Ji Chuan thinking? The next day, he had all the furniture moved out. The villa became empty. Ji Chuan would come here every day, spending some time in silence. The sunset filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting its light into the room. He sat on the floor, gazing at the wild roses outside the window. The sunset bathed him, blending into an atmosphere of sorrow. I sat beside him, quietly accompanying him. "Ji Chuan, were you thinking of me? You clearly remembered me, so why lie? Did loving me make you feel ashamed?" Ji Chuan, and I turned our heads at the same time. Lin Yuan approached. She seemed somewhat angry. "Didn't you say you had forgotten her? We're about to leave this place, and yet you bought the house she used to live in. If you still can't let her go, then why not just go and find her?" No, Ji Chuan couldn't come looking for me. He needed to live well. I didn't want Ji Chuan to die. Find her? And then what? She doesn't even know what it means to love someone. Then, do you hate her? I don't hate her. She didn't do anything wrong. She just didn't love me. But I don't have the courage to love her again. I don't dare to try. What were they talking about? Why was Ji Chuan saying things like this again? I knew what it meant to love someone. Even though I was 18 when I died, I was 28 now. I hated it when people dismissed my feelings. They weren't me, so how could they think they understood me? Ji Chuan spoke calmly. "I'm just like a rose in this garden, no different from any other. Today, she might like this one, but tomorrow she'll like another." That wasn't true. Ji Chuan was different. For the past 10 years, I haven't changed my phone number. I always answer calls from unknown numbers, fearing it might be her. Ji Chuan, before I was sent to the psychiatric hospital, my father took my phone away. I wanted to find you, but I couldn't. Her father said I wasn't good enough for her, that she had lived in an ivory tower since she was a child. surrounded by the best of everything. He said that being with me would only bring her hardship. I worked tirelessly to prove that I was worthy of her, that I wouldn't let her suffer. It was my refusal to give up that brought me to where I am today. Now, I'm at the top. She could find me if she wanted to, but she hasn't. Ji Chuan, I'm right beside you. Maybe she's long forgotten about me. I had never forgotten you. Her father was right. She doesn't really understand what it means to love someone. I was the one who deceived her. Don't say that, Ji Chuan. It was me who loved you first, who asked you to be with me. Ji Chuan didn't cry, but Lin Yuan did. Let's go back abroad. We won't come back again. She's not worth it. Ji Chuan put the photo he was holding down on the floor. Alright. Ji Chuan walked away. I sat on the floor, watching the sunset alone. For the first time, I tasted the bitterness of tears. Ji Chuan, I had learned to cry. So, this is how it feels to lose someone. It really does shatter your heart. Ji Chuan, I'm dead. So I can never be with you again. Even if I found you, you wouldn't be able to see me. My soul was becoming translucent, able to drift anywhere now. I floated to He Duo's house. I saw her computer, exposing the scandals of internet mogul Ji Chuan. I was his college classmate. He did have some talent in computing, but his character was awful. In his senior year, he tutored a wealthy girl and seduced her, trying to become a wealthy family's live-in son-in-law. But in the end, he was thrown out. He had already secured a spot for graduate studies, but someone reported the incident, and he lost his spot. After that, he couldn't stay at the school any longer, so he dropped out and went abroad. Overseas, he relied on Lin Yuan to start his company. All he has today is thanks to latching onto a rich girl. He's a typical example of a social climber, only knows how to freeload. That's not true. Who gave them the right to slander Ji Chuan like that? He Duo, please, help me. Tell them that's not the truth. I wish so much that, back when Ji Chuan was slandered and lost his graduate spot, I could have been there by his side to clear up all the rumors for him. No wonder he didn't love me anymore. How helpless he must have felt, standing alone against those rumors. If only I had stood by him then, he wouldn't have been forced to drop out. But I abandoned him. Ji Chuan must have been so heartbroken. Yet even so, he said he didn't hate me, he just didn't dare to love me again. He Duo, please help me. It seemed He Duo heard my plea. She contacted an old friend from Peking University. Senior, I remember you and Ji Chuan were classmates. How much do you know about these rumors online? Someone caught Ji Chuan dating a rich girl and took photos. Then they not only reported him to the university, but also posted it on the school forum. Ji Chuan might seem easygoing, but he's no pushover. He tracked down the IP address and exposed the male classmate who spread the rumors. That guy just wanted to steal Ji Chuan's spot for graduate studies, but in the end, he ended up with nothing and even got disciplinary action. As for the rich girl, there was no concrete evidence. The university wanted Ji Chuan to bring his girlfriend in to clarify things, but he refused. In the end, to appease the outcry, the school had no choice but to revoke his spot for graduate studies. Everyone knew Ji Chuan wouldn't try to seduce some girl with cognitive issues for the sake of marrying into wealth. Plenty of girls who chased him were beautiful and well off, but too many people took the chance to kick him when he was down, and he faced a lot of bullying. Eventually, he dropped out. As for Lin Yuan, that's his biological younger sister. She visited him at university back then. After their parents divorced, his sister changed her last name and went abroad with their mother. Seems like someone got jealous seeing Ji Chuan's success and hired online trolls to smear his name. I see. Senior, would you be willing to speak up for him? Of course, I've always felt guilty for standing by and doing nothing back then. No matter how impressive Ji Chuan is now, we were classmates once, and I owe him this. Thank you, but what's your connection to him? You seem really invested in his affairs. It all started with a photo. I'll tell you the full story another time. By the way, if possible, could you ask around in the alumni group to see if anyone else would be willing to speak up for Ji Chuan? Sure, leave it to me. After hanging up, He Duo made another call. Hello, were you a nurse at the Qingshan Psychiatric Hospital years ago? I'd like to ask you about someone. Her name was Jian Shiryu. Do you remember her? There was a long silence on the other end before the voice responded slowly. I remember her. She also died in that fire. What kind of illness did she have that required treatment? She wasn't ill, she was perfectly normal. He Duo continued. Then why was she admitted to the psychiatric hospital? She had autism, but autism isn't a mental illness, and she had received good treatment from an early age. She was no different from anyone else, she just didn't like to talk much and wasn't inclined to socialize. It was her father who insisted on her being admitted. I think the real problem was with him. He couldn't accept that his daughter was normal. Falling in love at 18 was an ordinary thing. She could have lived well. She was intelligent and talented at painting. She once asked me to help her contact someone, but her father forbade it, so I didn't help. Later, she wrote many letters in her room, but they all burned in the fire. If I had known what would happen, I would have helped her. Do you know what she wrote in those letters? No, I don't, but I do know that the person she loved was named Ji Chuan. She waited by the window every day, hoping Ji Chuan would come to see her. I don't know who Ji Chuan was, but I believe she truly loved him. After hanging up, he duo sat quietly in her chair, staring blankly at her computer, her eyes reddening. She uploaded the recorded conversation with the nurse online, accompanied by a message. When Jianshiryu was sent to the psychiatric hospital, and Ji Chuan was being slandered, the world denied their love. In the end, one died at 18, and the other remained single for 10 years, yet society still refuses to acknowledge they were ever in love. I believe that Jianshiryu genuinely loved Ji Chuan. They were just a couple in a simple, ordinary love story. The photo in the tin box was what she saved with her life. She may no longer be here, but her love was real and once existed. Please do not tarnish her lover. He duo. Thank you. If I were still alive, I would definitely be friends with you. I drifted to the airport again. I saw Lin Yuan on a call. Had the tech department trace the IP address of the person spreading rumors and hand it over to the legal department. Sue every single one of them. After she hung up, I heard her curse. Jianshiryu, you really know how to play dead. You were like this 10 years ago, and you're still like this 10 years later. Why can't you stand up and say something for my brother? He loved you so much, so why did you have to do this? How could you bear to watch him be torn apart online? Jianshiryu, he's been waiting for you all these 10 years, but what about you? A phone rang. Lin Yuan answered. President Lin. More and more alumni from Peking University are speaking out to clear President Ji's name, and it's stirring up quite a reaction. There's another thing. A content creator with 1 million followers, her name's Chen Duo, recently started an online campaign called Searching for Ji Chuan, and it's gone viral. Searching for Ji Chuan? She's looking for my brother? Yes, why is she looking for him? Because of a photo. Wait, I think I know who you mean by Chen Duo. What exactly is she trying to do? She's a paranormal adventure content creator. Recently, she visited a psychiatric hospital. Stop, just get to the point. He Duo claimed that President Ji's first love, Jianshiryu, died 10 years ago. What did you say? 10 years ago, Jianshiryu was sent to Qingshan Psychiatric Hospital for treatment. There was a fire, and she was one of the casualties. Say that again. What's her name? Jianshiryu. With a clatter, Lin Yuan's phone fell to the ground. Not far away, Ji Chuan, who had been reading something on his phone, looked up. What's wrong? Nothing, just reading some garbage online. It got me a bit upset. Ignore it. It doesn't matter. Alright, brother. What? It's nothing. Thankfully, Lin Yuan didn't tell Ji Chuan the truth. I had bound him to me for 10 years. I didn't want my death to chain him for the rest of his life. Loving someone is selfish, possessive, yet also fulfilling and letting go. After I died, I always hoped Ji Chuan would come to see me because I missed him so much. As time went on, I waited for far too long. I even thought that Ji Chuan had probably forgotten about me a long time ago, but still, I wanted to see him one last time. Now, my lingering attachment was finally fading away. I watched as my body turned completely transparent. Thank you to everyone who helped search for Ji Chuan. To everyone who helped restore his name. In the 10th year after my death, I finally got to see my one and only first love. Even if no one else believed in my love, 30-year-old Ji Chuan, please don't doubt it. 18-year-old Jianshiryu did love you.